Alright, Chapter 6, Tanker Farm Operational Maintenance. Alright, your Military Standardization Handbook, Petroleum Operations. Military Standardization Handbook, Petroleum Operations, Military Handbook 201B. Department of Defense. Alright, Tanker Farm Operational Maintenance in Section 1, Introduction. 6.1 General. This part covers the maintenance normally performed by skilled operational professionals such as pump operation, engine man, electrician, machinist, and under the control of the fuel depot supervisor. This work may include inspection, servicing, valve pump, dismantling, repacking, external adjustment, repair of primary movers, major repairs such as structural maintenance, machining of the valve, pump parts, rewinding electrical motors, dismantling, overhaul primary movers, pipeline installation, or alterations are responsible for the maintenance of forces. The forces may or may not be assigned as the part of fuel depot organization applicable to technical publications should be considered altered for technical guidance after maintenance. In addition, with the maintenance record documentation, schedules prescribed in service publications will be maintained. Our general care, facility safety of the personnel. All facilities compromised with the military fuel depot must be maintained with a first-class condition. Good housekeeping, constant attention to mechanical details are essential for the proper maintenance of the premises of the building. Loading platforms, fire station, pump houses, dikes, piers must be kept free of debris and surplus equipment and materials. Equipment records. Supervisors should obtain all pertinent information regarding the facilities provided, including detailed pipeline outlay, piping layout, general pipeline maps, utility signal diagrams, manufacturer equipment specification, operating instructions. Thus, information should include the design, data, and performance curves and spare part listed with each of the kind of the pump. The maintenance program should be coordinated with the corrosion control conservation program, as well as kept the leak records as necessity. Records should include the type of the cause, the location of each leak, as well as the type and the cost of the repairs. For these records, corrosion control and conservation can be facilitated. Our equipment operations, except for the deviation, may be allowed with the result of sound demonstrated reasons. Supervisors should see all the pumps and other apparatus are operated in accordance with the operating instruction, including the appropriate military technical manuals or manufacturer equivalent manuals. Units must be kept clean, properly lubricated with adjusted. A log or car record may be kept with showing actual use of major pieces of equipment. General safety rules, both for the operation of the depot and the maintenance of the machinery. Established safety rules should be filed with the guard against injuries to personnel, damage of the equipment. The rules include posting necessary warning signs, use of protective equipment necessary with the provision, proper ventilation, lighting, tools, scaffolds and ladders, etc. Unqualified personnel should not be allowed. Only qualified personnel should be allowed to enter the pits and tanks, buildings, or other enclosures where fire, explosion, asphyxiation, and similar hazards may be encountered. Well-informed, vigilant, and alert personnel are most conducive to excellent safe operations. Alright, Section 2, Facility Inspection. General inspection responsibility is the responsibility of the supervisor to establish an inspection program, emphasize placed on safe operating maintenance and procedures. The inspection program should include the inspection of facility during operation, periodic inspections, special inspections, as for example, the inspection of firefighting facilities. The supervisor should review carefully each of the inspection report with the take the remedial and corrective actions necessary thorough, careful visual inspection to include with the tank exteriors, appurtenancies, valve, pipelines, pumps should be made at least monthly to determine the need for maintenance and repairs. Tank interiors should be inspected prescribed military standard 457. In addition, regular scheduled inspection supervisors should inspect and continuous in their regular to do these to extent with always alert with the more deficiency, include breakdowns and improper conditions of the procedures, frequent consultations with workforce as most valuable source of information regarding performance, timely repair, and improvement. Alright, inspection prior to use. New construction of the facilities have been only standby basis should be inspected prior to acceptance of the reactivation to ensure that they will meet requirements of the function intended for the place for the operation. The officer in charge of the supervisor shall have made the complete visual inspection of the facility, both with the physical and operational viewpoint, with a special attention be given to safety, fire prevention, fire protection. The features of the facilities provide with the various military activity difference to such extent. No detailed checklist for initial inspection can be included with the handbook and this handbook, but many of the common points are being noted. Security. Proper provisions have been made against the admittance and unauthorized purpose. Proposed security provisions do not unduly restrict the access for the movement of the operating personnel, particularly within this emergency. Communications. The communication facilities provide with the conventional locative of these facilities arranged so that they have free interruption during the transmission of the emergency orders during operation. Tanks. That all tanks must have been tested for the leaks, cleaned, and equipped with the proper accessories. Access facility. The access facilities for the operators, the stairway, ladders, platforms provided within the right locations, properly guarded with the handrails. Long ladders are provided with the back guards of the offset platform, the entrance hatches or guarded with or gated. The stairways are provided with the points of the frequent and rapid entrance of the required, where the operators must carry the sampling of the equipment and tools. Emergency shut-off in the case of the accident. Flow of the oil can be readily shut off with the distance of the means of the properly located valve. Of electrical power may be cut off of the individual units without affecting the entire area. 6. Piping. The entire piping system has been tested hydrostatically with 1.5 times the allowable working pressure, not less than 100 psi. But the piping is properly supportive, adequately anchored, and has enough flexibility to prevent overstrain of the connection to the attached equipment. And with these are sufficient drain and sample with the cocks. So there are sufficient pressure for the relief valve installed around the block valve with the relief of excessive pressure due to the thermal expansion of the product. 7. Large valve. The large valves operated under pressure are provided with the reduction gears. 8. Cast iron valve. The cast iron valves originally installed with a place of steel valve with a critically location such as the tank and the piers should be replaced with the steel valves when possible without interfering with the depot operations. Sufficient steel barrier valves are available with replacement. 9. Bonding and grounding. The proper bonding and grounding protection is provided. Identification pump valve and lines have been painted with a stencil for identification of the buried pipelines or cables are marked with the ground markers offset with a surface reference point. See Military Handbook 161. Our pressure gauge and thermometer. That the piping has been equipped with an adequate number of the pressure gauge connection for the critical valve with the location with the pump house for the old pier loading connections, heaters, and tanks. Thermometers are placed within the heater inlets and outlets outside of the tank. Thermometers and pressure are suitable with the side of the range and have been installed and tested with the protective against the vibration and damage. 12. Machinery guards. The exposed moving parts of the machinery are guarded to prevent injury to personnel. Tools and equipment of the necessary of the tool of the equipment have been provided with the lockers are available to their storage. Ventilation of all the buildings, especially pump house or pits, are dry cleaning and properly ventilated. Drains, the floor and areas where oil spills may occur with a slop with the properly with the traps with the drain with the some pumps are installed with the properly when necessary. Lighting, the illumination adequate for the convenience, for the safety, for the fixture for the correct type of the properly installed with ground damage. Drainage, the grounds are adequately grade drained with the dikes around with the tanks are properly graded in good condition. Signs. There are no smoking signs or other warning signs have been posted other than necessary. Some warning signs are at hand, ready for use. Pier safety. The piers are equipped with emergency ladders and life preservers, small boats, and first aid equipment. 20. Fire protection. The adequate fire protection equipment and supplies are available. The first aid equipment is charged for the properly located. Operational inspection. Prior to starting with a major operation, pumps and couplings and prime movers should be tested and inspected to ensure the proper performance, eliminated breakdown that might cause the delay during the transfer of the product lines. Should be walked and checked for the leaks, and the hoses should be visually inspected. The housing of the hose should be showing successful testing. Should be prescribed periods should be used. All the facilities being in operation, but not here in the specified mentions, should be checked to make certain that they are in satisfactory condition. During operation maintenance personnel should be remain alert to serve the performance of the note on defects of the machinery, undo the vibration, overheating, with improper working of the pressure should be reported with investigated careful observation. Prompt reporting may be often prevent serious damage or costly repairs. Periodic testing and inspection. When extensive changes of the repair have been made, the local inspection should be ordered with a detailed report prepared showing the general condition of the tank piers and pump of the boilers, oil, steam lines, power facility with the communication system, heater feed filters, buildings, boundary fences, roadway damage, ditches, water supply system, including wells and in tanks of the reservoir, freezing, weather protection. A special inspection should be made there in early autumn of each year with the climates with the freezing weather the encounter to ensure that all the drains function and that necessary precautions are taken with a steam line with a pump, bleeder, theater drains, other small drain traps, radiators, water jackets, small pipeline pumps, and valves that are not damaged by the freezing. Tank accessories. Alright, regular inspection should be made with the apparent with the condition of all the tankage and tank accessories, including with the pressure vacuum, relief valve, with the flame arrestor, with the vent screens, exhaust fans, cargo and sump pumps, motors, and other protective devices. Alright, 4. Pier facilities. Regular inspection of the piers should be made to ensure that they are in good condition, free of the surplus material of the deck, openings are closed, that facility, such line with the valve with electrical bonding, equipment with the condition with the protective with external damage to that at least one unsuitable small boat is available with accessible emergency use with a sufficient number of the ring buoy, life preservers, and lines attached are provided with a place in their proper location. Cargo hose. The inspection determined that the cargo hose of the type of the type of the best suit for the kind of product handled with the provided with a built-in grounding conductor, if required, in stored item with the weather protected with the rackware and not in use. Bonding. All piers and lines should be checked to determine the proper bond to the ground connection function below the pier with the point near the unloaded connections, and also shoreline pier approach as is considerable length with the protection from the stray electrical currents is required, insulated with the pipe joints should be provided at near offshore. 7. Pumps and compressors. Pumps and compressors are periodically inspected with the alignment of the wear, packing, seating of the valve, lubrication, making of the periodic inspection. Particular with attention should be given to the following items. Performance test pumps should be thoroughly inspected whenever the actual performance compared with the design performance of the initial performance during testing to indicate the capacity pressure of the falling off. That should also be done with the performance of any of several identical pumps that are same surfaces below the normal performance or others. Operational testing. Acceptance tests must be acceptance tests on pumps should be run with their performance checked again with the specification over the wear purchase. For the preliminary operation test should be conducted with the product with a handle with the optimum pump temperature to establish a basic rate of performance for checking the future condition for the future operation of the pump. C. Standby operations. Except when the tank is empty, if the bypass valve directly from the pump of the tank has not been provided, pumps installed with the individual storage tank of the normal use should be tested each week by running the pump for the designated period of time, allowing the products to circulate back into the tank if the tanks are empty with the bypass valve that have not been provided with the pumps and have been turned over by hand. 8. Electrical equipment. Chief electrician should be instructed to make a periodic inspection in addition with a casual check during the routine operation to ensure that all the electronic motors are kept clean with the properly lubricated with the bearings and properly with adjusted transformers. Stations all feed of the distribution panel should receive the routine inspection and service. Periodic inspection should also include communication system and electrical equipment with the alteration of the equipment. Alterations and additions have been made with electrical installation with a map of the diagrammic sketches of the electrical layout that should be verified jointly by the supervisor and electrician as mean with the familiarizing supervisor with the revisions recently made with a spare cable with the fittings that also be checked with the proper storage location condition so that it can be made readily with emergency use of short notice. Catalytic protection tank and line should be tested for the quarterly with a specially trained qualified personnel to ensure the actual protection of the tanks and pipelines against the corrosion provided with the plan. Oil heater and pressure test. When the fuel oil of the heater has been repaired with the oil side with the fit with the shell with the tube type with the subject of the oil pressure test of 1.5 times with the normal allowing operating pressure for the steam side shall be given the hydraulic test with the pressure equal to 1.5 times the allowable working pressure. During regular inspection, heaters should be tested 1.5 times the allowable working pressure, and making with the test must be vented with the heater before the pressure is applied. With all the pressure tests with the oil heater under the piping should be made with the hand fuel pump with the oil heaters in use with the flow of the oil to be rated capacity with under such a condition, pressure drop was considerably higher than what was due, and when it was found within the case during the acceptance of the test, and if the oil temperature of the not according to the expected, the result of the heater should be dismantled and inspected to clean if it's necessary. When the heaters are dismantled for the cleaning, they should be inspected for any of the indication of corrosion. The records may be defined with a future reference. This is determined whether or not the correct measure of the retard of the corrosion are effective and possible to set with a fixed interval. For the heater inspection interval will be determined largely by the use of the heater, for the nature of the fuel and corrosion noted. When cleaning heater after should be inspected thereafter. The third intervals not exceeding 6 months until it has been defined with established for the corrosion have been checked. Otherwise, heaters will not be usually open or as long as they are tight, the pressure tested and performed satisfactory. Pipeline inspection and test. Pipelines or military depots should be tested for leaks, and periodically they may be done while the line remains filled with the same product when they use in normal operation. Remove, providing all of that is eliminated with the section below selected. For testing, the test pressure must be 1.5 times the normal operating pressure at not less than 100 pounds per square inch. Conducting the test at 10% of the drop, the pressure will be allowed for the first 2 hours after the valves have been closed with the pressure established. If the pressure drop at the time exceeds 10%, then the leak will probably indicate that the leak must be located and repaired immediately. After the repairs have been completed, the test must be repeated with a satisfactory result and are obtained with the test and should be recorded and covered with a report. Part 11, steam plants. Boiler and steam plants updated exclusively with the military fuel storage depot with the responsibility of boiler house operated with a hydrostatic test for the inspection furnace wall with the baffle with the insulation roof blocks. Boilers properly with the will inspect with the feed water heater with the feed feed pumps. All accessories should be filed with the general military requirements for such service as military installation. 12. Strainers, filters, and meters. Strainers, filters, and water separator with eliminators, meters, equipment with all kinds should be inspected according to the established procedures. 13. Pressure gauges and thermometers. All temperature pressure gauges should be periodically examined by the tech for the accuracy. If they frequently within inspection should be made any time there is reason to question the accuracy of the instrument. 14. Buildings should be checked for the alignment of the physical condition foundation and also regarded with the general condition, particularly with the fire heads for the exterior should be checked for condition, gutters, downspouts, paints, roofs, chimneys, and general appearance. Tank car, tanker, truck, repair racks. The supervisor and assistant should check with the railroad siding to determine that all of the rail connections are properly bolted rails, spiked, bumpers securely fastened, ties well stamped, and the track is leveled along with the loading and unloading station. And the pipelines in the station should be inspected to make certain that they are covered with the earth, otherwise protected from the possible physical injury. But the supervisor operator should also see that the railroad bonds, grounding wires as well with the insulated joints of water required that they are properly installed. But they should have the drip tubs, tools, the flags, stop signs on hand, and the hose connections should be inspected to ensure that they are in good condition or supplied with the built-in grounding conductors when required. Building bonding facilities. At the tank truck loading racks should be particularly with a check for the tap screen into the line with the unloaded connection to the storage tank with the inspected with the clean with the necessary tank and car and tank trucks, rack structure, railway, walkways, and ladders. Loading station should be kept with a good condition. Loading arms, swing joints, piping, valves should be kept free of the leaks. 6. Fences. Boundary fences, when provided, should be inspected for the condition alignment of the post and the loose of the broken wire with the conformity with the bottom of the fence with ground. Roadways. Inspector of the roadways within the depot approaches should be included with the condition with the drainage surface of additional surfacing on concrete in the condition in respect with the sub-drainage holes, cracks, and unevenness, erosion, earth over all other edges should be noted. Railroad tracks. Railroad tracks within the depot should be checked with alignment of the elevation, drainage, surfacing with the condition of the ties and the tie spacing and loose spikes on the rail joints with the rail derails worn, loose switches, frogs with the condition of the trestle with the culverts for the making of the inspection for the purpose for the which the equipment should be borne with in line with the example of the track used for the siding of the might be reported with the adequate, although if it had defects which would be corrected with such for the defects found with the main line with the surface of the track. Fire protection facilities. If the military installation of the fire chief that is responsible for its fire facility with the testing of the maintenance An operation fire chief of the periodic and the furnish for the superior and supervisor of the military depot with the reports of the condition of the facility with the fire pumps, lines, the equipment which have not been in use should not be tested at intervals specified with the district fire protection engineer with the department of the chief of the district fire marshal. It is good practice to hold fire drills on the different locations each month about the time of the fire pump with the auxiliary equipment are to be tested. A regular depot operating personnel should be informed of the drill under the various assumed emergency fire conditions to quickly locate the proper valves and to be closed and the equipment with the shutdown with the case of the emergency in order to minimize the spread of the fire. Fire pumps. The fire pumps should be checked for the pumping capacity of the pressure intervals designed by the chief of the fire department for the special instruction with a list of publications. Couplings. The coupling of the fire hose of the depot should be checked for the show that they are interchangeable. Will and fill of the fire hydrants should be the hose coupling with the threads for the neighboring municipality with the industry. Different suitable adapters should be readily accessible for the use of the nearby and neighboring facilities called in case of an emergency. Hose. Reserve stock of the stored hose had been kept dry with a cool place, which are they are not exposed to the rays of the sun. Fire hose should be inspected and tested in accordance with existing regulation. Inspection for the stationary fire facility attached to the storage tank that should be made within accordance with the rules prescribed for each of the terminal fuel depot respectively. Section 3, tanker farm maintenance. We're going to cut the tape right there.